everyone, and welcome to Suburban Stone Age. And today we're going to talk about lessons I've learned about worm farming. I'd like to introduce you to my worm farm. This is built in an old tumbling composter, and in it are all my worms, and I compost vegetable scraps and all my coffee grounds every morning. Worm farms are wonderful to have. They make a great fertilizer for your soil that you can make yourself for free. And you can also do things like make worm tea, which is great to feed your plants. It's a wonderful way to turn scraps from the kitchen into something useful so that you recycle and you add nutrition to your soil. And that in turn grows better vegetables for you and your family. I'm going to look inside my worm bin. It's been going for about 3 years now, and the secret to my success basically boils down to 3 quick tips. First of all, let's talk about simplicity. When it comes to worm farms, less is more, in my opinion. I've had other farms that have the stackable trays. I've done DIY worm farms, buckets drilled with holes, and all those methods work, and they work great. But for me, they worked for a little while, but then the constant having to change the trays, add water, sift, just the extra bit of manual labor that went into it over time made it harder and harder and harder to deal with. So the more simple your setup, the more likely the chance you'll stick with it in the long run. And eventually I came to the point where I just have this pile and my worms grow in it and I love them. And they love it too. And every morning I come out and I give them coffee and coffee grounds, and that's it. It's a pile. There's no trays. I don't even turn it. So it's a very simple system, but with that simplicity comes longevity. So over the years I've been able to keep up with that very minimal level of complexity, and the worms do great. Tip number 2 about things I've learned about a worm farm is to be consistent. And consistency in the long run can be really hard unless it's a good match with your lifestyle. So I've basically gotten to the point where my worms eat a scoop of coffee grounds and what I rinse out of my French press, and that's the food and the water that they get daily. And then 2 to 3 times a week, whatever kitchen scraps and vegetables I have for them get put into the pile and they digest that. And it's been going all year round for 3 years, and they do fine. But because it's tied in with something that I'm doing every day religiously anyway, which is making my coffee, it's been able to sustain, and I haven't missed a beat. It's a part of my morning habit. So I consistently feed them, consistently water them, and consistently add little extras throughout the year. And they've just grown and become a stable population without any additional effort from me. The third lesson I've learned about worm farming is that stability is also important. Stability in their temperature, so you don't want them in a place where they will freeze or fry. Although it does get very hot here in Southern California in the summer, and they're in an all-black container that has a lid on it. They do okay because I think they have time to slowly adapt, but it's also a seasonal change, so they warm up slowly and they cool off slowly and they never freeze. So some fluctuation's okay, but avoiding the extremes and having as stable a temperature as possible is very helpful. Also, their location. They have become acclimatized to this one particular place. Generations have grown and died in this one little compost pile, so whoever lives here is successful at living here and has grown to get used to it. I don't try to move them around too much. If I'm going to use their byproducts, I will take it from the compost pile instead of trying to move my worms, because I feel if I move my worms and change their environment too much, it could upset the system and I could have a die-off. So I recommend you pick a good spot that's going to last a long time, and that stability will be really helpful. So, in conclusion, when it comes to worm farming, the things I've learned is that basically less is more. If you can get your system down to something that you can sustain through major life changes such as gaining or losing a job, demands of family, leaving for vacation. If you can keep it simple enough so that your worms can do just fine as real life happens all around you, that's what's going to keep you going year after year and keep your worms happy year after year, and it will be a sustainable long-term project. So I like a lot of the fancier worm bins and stuff. They're really fun, but over the long run they just got too labor intensive for me. And this is where I finally settled down, is just a pile with my worms in it that I feed with things from my daily life routines anyway on a consistent basis. I try to keep them in the same spot all the time, year-round, in a protected environment where they're sheltered and have a cover. And then when it's time, I will come harvest the worm castings, I will feed my garden, and the cycle will continue. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click the subscribe button and the little bell icon to get notifications. Also, give us a thumbs up if you like this video and if you're thinking about having a worm farm for yourself, or if you already have one. Leave a comment. We would love to know what you think. Thanks again. You have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.